great to meet you. Well, I shouldn't even say meet you. Great to finally have a chance to do a real sit down interview because we've spoken twice, and both times it was on a red carpet. Well, actually, that's not true, too. One was a purple carpet. Could you let folks know where the two interviews were conducted?
Yeah, so the first one was at the Junos in Halifax earlier this year, and the second one was it yesterday or the day before at SoCan?
I know it just feels, it just
2 weeks ago.
flew.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, as we speak, it was just a couple of days ago, man. How were the SoCan Awards for you, my friend?
Oh, they were great. It was really cool. It was an honor to be among all that incredible talent. So yeah, it was great.
You deserve to be there because you're an incredible talent as well, especially because when we get a chance to talk about your story and, of course, new album, congratulations on that.
Thank
But
you.
before we get into anything, how tall are you, man?
I'm 6'3" when I'm not slouching, which is most of the time. So let's say 6'2".
Where did you grow up and when did you start growing? Like, were you always the guy in the school picture that was like the tallest guy in the class?
I'm trying to remember at what point I was taller than everyone, but I think it was pretty early on. Yeah, I grew up in Ottawa, yeah. And yeah, I've always been the long boy, yeah.
When did, growing up, did you always have like a love of like music, um, social media, and the arts? Was that something that always sort of gathered around you growing up?
I would say music and the arts for sure. Um, the social media thing probably came later. I mean, I don't know if I love. I have a mixed, it's a love hate with social media. But yeah, art
Yeah.
and music was a long time coming. From and came in different ways. Like I had a guitar in my bedroom that one day I was like, oh, what's that? And started playing that, and then saw Eminem on Much Music and thought, oh, I could do that. And I also had like a little Play School cassette recorder, and so this idea of like capturing sounds was always really interesting to me.
You know what? It's funny. I did the same thing.
Oh,
With catching sounds. But what I used to do is I had a shortwave radio and I used to record, when you get these like weird
yeah,
sounds, and I tried to mix them into songs that I already had. And it's so funny how people connect with that.
totally. Yeah, I mean, sound without the recording medium, right, is ephemeral. So as we have this conversation, well, now it's being recorded, but if it wasn't, it'd be gone after, like,
Yeah.
the moment you're finished speaking, it's gone. So I was always fascinated with this idea that now I've captured it, but also it's been transformed, right? Because especially a
Yeah.
little playable cassette recorder distorts it, and so there's like an effect to that. But yeah, I've always been fascinated by that.
When did social media start entering your life? And by the way, I absolutely agree with you about the love and hate with social media.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't, right? Like, I guess I'm trying to remember. I can remember MySpace. That was like the OG.
Oh God, yeah.
Had to have a MySpace, and all the drama around who's in your top. What is it? Top six, top eight, something like that. I think it was top six, and that's it. You're out. You're out of my top six. You see, and then yeah, at some point Facebook came around. And then we all dumped our entire vacation photos onto it, not knowing what the hell was going on. And yeah, it just kind of kept going from there. But I've always found it kind of interesting the kind of interactions that people have on there, right? Like there's a weird dynamic that happens. So yeah.
One thing I do want to know though, when did you figure out in using social media as part of your platform to display your talents?
So I was kind of just having a moment where I was working on music, and then the TikTok thing was kind of going on, and I was like, "What is this?" And I downloaded the app, and then I started consuming it. Like sucked me in, as it did, I think, a
Mhm.
lot of people. This is back in like 2020 or maybe 2019, something like that. Anyway, and at some point I was like, I think I need to make some TikToks, and so I just tried to make some stuff that, connected to my talents and what I was doing with my music, and try to build an audience that way. And yeah, it kind of just snowballed, and became its own thing.
I have my own TikTok. I've got low numbers on TikTok. I don't get it.
It's
Mind you, I watch TikTok almost like as if I watch the news. But what is it? How is it that people like yourself can explode on TikTok, and then other people they'll go to classes and try to understand it, and
Mhm.
it doesn't click for them. What do you think is there a formula?
That's a good question. And honestly, like, so right now, if you look at my social media page where we've kind of reoriented, we're not being so silly and so fun and we're not making videos that exist for the sake of themselves, like that's what like the videos that went viral for me, they don't it doesn't matter who I am. It doesn't there's you need no context and it's not trying to send you anywhere. I think that's a big part of it. Whereas now we're trying to like, build the brand and kind of tell people who I am and bring some magic to, but kind of try to bring the music to people. And so we're also doing smaller numbers than before, and also the algorithm changes all the time. And so honestly, it's a mystery to me. I think at the core of it, like if you want a really basic kind of thing, like you got 3 seconds to make a promise, right? It's a hook.
Uh,
It's some kind of thing that goes. I think it's worth continuing to watch this. And then if you deliver on that promise, or you deliver in a way that's unexpected, it can be even better. And you can carry that all the way to the end, then like you're already starting off quite a bit stronger. Yeah.
Now, did you end up on talk shows?
Yeah, I ended up doing Jimmy Fallon and
Wow.
Kelly Clarkson. Yeah, but in the COVID era, so I got to like do it from the comfort of my home. I didn't have the whole nerve-wracking experience. Yeah.
When did things really start changing? And also, when did you meet a certain Canadian artist who today is considered one of the biggest to come out of Canada?
So interestingly, my relationship with Cult Nation, which is our record label, started before the whole TikTok thing. I had like 600 followers, and it was my creative director JB Prue who was in that office and was like, "You guys have to hear Lubalin. You have to hear Lubalin." And so finally set up a meeting with Jason Brando, and I sat down and I played him some records. And Jason is now our mutual manager, and he's also like a great songwriter and a creative. And so I had played him. One of the demos was the chorus for Phoenix, which is from Charlotte's previous album. Ended up becoming the title track, actually. So that's kind of how that started. And then when they started writing for 99 Nights, they brought me in for one session. And that session was where we wrote Daddy's a Psycho. And they absolutely loved
Wow.
what we did together. And so they said, come in for another one. And then it was another one. And next thing you know, it was like 3 or 4 months and I got to like write and produce on half the album.
You must have been thrilled when you saw the success that came down from this.
Oh, I still don't I can't wrap my mind around the success of it. The way that people have connected with the music is so fun and getting to, see her play the shows and watching all the fans sing along to these songs that, not so long ago we were figuring out together in a room alone with no crowd, it's like it's a really fun experience.
When did you decide at some point, you know what, I'm so happy with everything going on, but I need a little bit of that for myself. And that's not being selfish. It's just that's what creative people want to do.
Totally. And but that's an interesting thing. Like it does so I have always been kind of doing the Lubalin or like I was doing the Lubalin thing before TikTok, before Charlotte and all that. And then these were kind of just like opportunities that was like, all right, let's ride this wave. Okay, cool. Now let's ride this one. But then it was like, okay, I think it's time to get back to the vision. Um, but it's a tricky thing. Like I thought at some point that all I wanted to do was make cool stuff with cool people. And that's what I did, and I loved it. Had the time of my life, like and I'll hopefully do it again someday, But for now, it's like I'm realizing there's also a part of it that's like I have a vision. I have um, there's a way that I see the world that there's magic and excitement that I see that I want to share with people, and so that's where I'm at with it. Yeah.
Okay, which of course leads to what we're going to talk about now. Congratulations, new album. Let's make it official. What is the name of the new album and how does it represent you? Because this is debut.
Yes, my first album. It's called Haha, No Worries. It's been a long journey. I took a lot of the lessons that I learned working with Charlotte and Jason on 99 Nights. You know, that was my first time working on a project of that caliber. There was a lot of game to soak up, you know. So um, applied that and I've just been, honing my sound. And I've always been someone who I have a lot of FOMO. And so I've always been bouncing around genre to genre. I'm like, "Ooh, what if this sound is better for me? What if this sound is cool?" And then after that project, I had the FOMO of never having gone deep on one thing. And so that's what I tried to do. I think the album has actually I've gone deep on two things, and then
Yeah.
there's a conversation happening between them in the album. But I think that's even more fun. Yeah.
Your album reminds me of what the universe would sound like. And I say that because there's so much depth behind it. I was one point I'm thinking this is like a 90s, then I'm thinking, oh, this is like a 70s. No, I'm thinking this is like an 80s. Like you really time traveled through this. Was that even, do you even realize that you were doing that?
Sometimes yes, and sometimes no. It's not ever like an intentional thing, but it's kind of like if I sit down at the piano, a certain thing happens. If I sit down with the guitar, if I play power chords, then all of a sudden I'm singing these like Blink 182, but like, it's just like these different kind of characters get channeled from different contexts. I like to think it's like a yes, Matrix soundtrack meets 2000 soft pop.
Yeah.
Sometimes that kind of thing going on. There's the drum and bass. There's the grunge, like alt rock kind of thing. But I'm hoping that I found a way to make them kind of talk to each other. Yeah.
Do we have a single out right now as we speak?
Yeah. So there's four singles out so far. Yeah.
Hey, wait,
So
wait, who are we talking to back there?
my partner who's keeping everything on track, keeping
Okay.
the
That just scared the hell out of me. It was like, wait a minute, there's somebody in the room.
yeah, sorry about that. I should have mentioned.
So sorry, what's the new single?
So the latest single is called Bullet Time, and
And
that's
what's
actually
Bullet Time? I was gonna ask you what's the single about?
so the single is kind of about wanting to kind of when everything gets to be too much and you just want to disconnect and um and so it's actually a song that was written in those sessions with Charlotte for 99 Nights, but then just didn't quite fit the vision in the end, like almost the majority of the songs we wrote together, right? Like we filtered down quite a bit. And as we were going through all the our favorites that didn't make it, and grieving them, I guess, Jason was like, "You should try that one." And I said, "Okay, yeah, sure, I'll try to beat Charlotte at her own song." And I don't think I did that, but I transformed it. I made it my own.
I love it. Tour wise, what's gonna happen with you the rest of 2024 and leading into 2025?
So right now there's one show, and it's actually my first show ever as Lubalin.
Uh,
So it's a showcase in Montreal. It's for M for Montreal. It's on November 21st, and it's a 20-minute set. But I'm very excited about it. I'm also very nervous because obviously, yeah, I haven't been on a stage in over a decade. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm having a lot of fun figuring out, with my creative director, how to kind of create a narrative and kind of pull people in and figure out what's gonna make it Lubalin, how are we gonna lean on my strengths to make something memorable.
Two more questions. Number one, where did that name come from?
So the name Lubalin came. I was in kind of a like mindset where I was like, there's so much doubt, and I wasn't releasing anything, and I was just everything needed to be perfect, and I was so stressed about what other people would think. And my partner and I were reading a book on Herb Lubalin, who is an American type designer. He designed the typeface Avant-Garde and did a lot of really cool logos that we know. And he kind of had this energy of like, yeah, what I make is good, and if you don't like it, well, that's you. And so client, he'd make something for a client, and they'd be like, we don't know about this, and he'd be like, then go somewhere else. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of the energy I need. I need this like, fuck it, this is me. I'm just gonna start showing you what I got. And so I said, my name's Lubalin now, and it went from there.
Either way, man. Look, I gotta tell you something. This was a great interview. Thank you so much for making the time to do this with me. Congratulations on the new music, and looking forward to talking again on another red carpet because I know we're gonna be doing more of these, man. Just congrats on everything and all the best for you for the rest of 2024 going into 2025.
Awesome, amazing. Thanks so much, Rudy. Really appreciate being here. Such an honor. And yeah, hopefully see you around at the next red carpet.